Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. By any metric, the SNP are failing in health, and it's not surprising when you see who the health minister is, a man whose mind is certainly not on his job. But this isn't about him personally, this is about his failings as health minister. Revealed are the figures for GPs. The Nats promised a lot more GPs to be delivered, and in fact numbers are falling, because of course they are. Nobody wants to work in the Scottish NHS given how bad it is, how chronically underfunded it is, how inept a whole series of health ministers have been, and all the other stresses and strains involved with doing such a job so massively underrepresented. You need a lot more doctors, thousands more GPs, just to get to the point where the people of Scotland can actually get to see one. When you're ringing up and standing on the phone for 2 hours only to be told that there's no appointments available, what is the bleeding point? People are dying because of this. People are dying because no one cares, because no one wants to grab this particular nettle and hire doctors. They can, however, spend £8 million a month on the NHS on spin doctors rather than on real doctors. Let's have a look at this and see how bad the situation is, and as we're going into winter, how bad it's going to get. Here goes. So, Scotland's GPs at breaking point, as the SNP are failing to deliver on yet another promise. And is anybody surprised? I know I'm not. The Nats have promised to recruit an extra 800 GPs by 2027, which is about half as many as they actually need. But instead, numbers are falling by every metric, while average patient list per GP has increased by almost 200 over the past decade. An extra 200 people per GP. It's no wonder these guys are going off and burning out and stressed. You need a lot more than 800 doctors. Literally thousands. Of course, the other thing about GPs, and what's important, people don't sort of sometimes pick up on, is it's not the day-to-day stuff. It's not your kid turning up with a snotty nose. It's not you turning up going, oh, I've got this belly, oh, I think I've hurt my arm, and things like that. It's not that kind of stuff. It's the fact that they are also, and this is important, they're the gateway to consultants. They're the gateway to further higher levels of care. And of course, you hear these horror stories of a doctor sent me home. He said it was just a headache. Turned out it was stage 4 brain cancer or something. And it's not surprising, it all sounds, the doctor was a lazy bastard and all that. But when you see the numbers, it's not surprising. They're having to go bang, 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 bang. They're not spending enough time with patients. They're too burnt out. There's too much to do. There's too much paperwork. There's too much bureaucracy. Because they're seeing too many patients. They don't have the ability to spend enough time with a patient to actually see and fully work out what's going on, what the symptoms are. Think about this. I've sat in a doctor's surgery and I've told him the symptoms and he just bloody Dr. Googled it. I mean, seriously, because he hasn't got time to go in to do a full examination. And I'm like, whoa, but often I'm telling him what's wrong with me. But it's just there because they are so massively overworked. And now, rather than increasing numbers, the SNP are actually cutting them. Not deliberately, I presume they want to increase them, but the numbers are nonetheless falling. And of course, this is a direct result of the stresses involved, of the lack of funding, the lack of resources, too many people, not enough doctors, they're not putting the money into the surgeries. Surgeries themselves are falling down, there's no maintenance budget for them. It's no wonder that so many doctors in Scotland are saying, I've had enough of this, and they're going south to England. They just can't be dealing with the problems. Problems that could be solved quite easily if the government actually wanted to do that. But it's clear and obvious that they don't. The SNP is, of course, to fail yet another promise made to the Scottish voters, as unions warned. The pledge to recruit 800 more GPs by 2027 is at best a distant prospect, and it comes amid repeated warnings over the crisis in primary care. On Tuesday, the NHS published its annual GP workforce statistics, showing a decrease of 40 family doctors between 22 and 23, from 4,514 to 4,474. the figure has remained steady over the past 10 years. So much for increasing numbers. We're now seeing a massive fall. And who's paying the price? The patients. However, the whole time equivalent figures, which take into account the number of GPs who have gone part-time, show a startling decline. They've plummeted by 197 since 2013, despite the number of registered patients in Scotland soaring by over 390,000 in the same time. Nearly 400,000 more patients. The NHS is falling apart, and Kendall, the Grand Mufti of Scotland, is planning on bringing in unlimited migration. Seriously? He can't even look after the people he's got, and he wants to increase the population by millions. It's a joke. People are dying now. How many more does he want to die? All of them, so long as they're white, because he doesn't like white people, does he? Health Secretary and failure Michael Matheson said the SNP administration remained fully committed to their 2027 target, and he claimed the headcount of GPs is now sitting consistently at over 5,000. He's saying that like it's a good thing. It should be nearer 10,000 given the population. You know? It's just ridiculous. Anyway, he said that figure includes specialist trainees who are excluded from the NHS figures. So he's saying it's 5,000, but he's only including trainees, which aren't normally included. Wow, scraping the barrel much, Michael? You know you've scraped it everywhere else. Certainly with the number of lies you've been telling, and now you're actually telling lies in your day job, never mind in your personal life. How can we believe anything Matheson says? We've literally got another example of him lying to the people. He can't help himself, can he? He's a serial liar. The BMA said the figures should be a massive wake-up call to the Scottish Government. Dr Andrew Boost, the chair of the BMA's Scottish GP Committee, added, there are more evidence that not only are we not on track to meet the Scottish Government's commitment for 800 GPs, when trainees and registers are excluded, we are actually going backwards. Dr Boost said he called for urgent action, including, crucially, increasing direct investment into practices to allow them to focus on meeting the needs of local communities and recruiting the staff they need. You need a lot more. It is just unbelievable. So here you go. In 2013, there were 3,675 GPs. Today, there's 3,478. So it's gone down. Meanwhile, patients per GP have gone up 200. It's unbelievable, isn't it? He warned without that, meaning more investment, he says, I cannot see the figures getting any better, and the idea of recruiting extra GPs anywhere near the 800 target will remain at best a distant prospect, and more realistically, completely out of reach, pushing us more and more towards a two-tier system for those who can afford to, simply going private. And I must admit and put my hand up, I have. Simply because I've got various conditions, and when they flare, I cannot wait 2 weeks to see a GP. It's got to be urgent. Indeed, before now, I've gone straight to a hospital and been admitted. You may remember, regular viewers, about 6 months ago, and I did a few videos from hospital. I didn't see the doctor to the GP to get to hospital. I simply went to the hospital and said, look, and they put me straight in. So, you know. Anyway, Scottish Labour said the average patient list per GP has increased by almost 200 over the past 10 years. The party's 199, we've just seen the figures. The party's health spokesman, Dame Jackie Bailey, said GPs are the front door to our healthcare, but they are at breaking point. I think it's criminal. I think what the SNP are doing to healthcare is actually a crime against humanity. I seriously do. I think that whoever comes in next needs to start and do a full inquiry into the entirety of the SNP's handling of every aspect of government. And there needs to be charges. I think what they have done, the people are dying under their watch because they're failing to invest, because they're putting all the money into independence, a dream that will never happen. And thanks to Blackman yesterday, will never, ever, ever happen. And so that money is money that should have been spent saving lives, and it isn't. And therefore, if you've made the decision to not invest and people are dying, and you know they're dying, then I would suggest that is corporate manslaughter. And these people need to be charged and jailed for it. Anyway, I'm going to stop there, come up, because otherwise just go on and I'll get angry. And I don't want to. I don't want it too early in the morning. But serial failure there. And again, caught out. More lies. He's literally lied again. This time about the number of doctors. He cannot help himself. Lie after lie after lie. The man is just a liar. And he needs to go. I'm coming up. People have died. We know that 25,000 people have died under Matheson's watch. How many more? How many more lives will it take before he goes, someone else comes in, someone else who's willing to do the hard work? Someone else who's willing to stand up and say to the rest of them, can we stop wasting money on independence? Can we fire Jamie Hebburn and all his department? Can we stop printing all these brochures? Can we fire all the spin doctors? Can we close all the foreign embassies? Can we stop wasting money on shit and put it where it needs to be, which is healthcare and education? But no, they won't, because they haven't got anyone. Firstly, they've got no one with the nous to do it. And secondly, they've got no one with the balls to do it. Because they'd have to admit then that independence is just their little wet dream that will never come true. And we know it is. It will never come. And yet they're still letting people die while they chase the end of the rainbow. I'll stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please leave a comment. Definitely leave a comment on this one. Let me know what you think about it. But especially about the liar. And until next time, stay safe, stay well. And I will speak to you later. Bye.